Hello, everyone. My name is Shreya Jariwala, and I am a student at UC Berkeley as well as an intern at Phoenix Bioinformatics working on MorphoBank. And today I'll be sharing our work on Matrix Curator, which is an AI-powered tool designed to accelerate and improve morphological data curation. So let me dive really quick into what MorphoBank is. So MorphoBank is a long-term repository for peer-reviewed morphological character matrices in 2D or 3D images. MorphoBank is not limited to just uploading the matrix and just kind of letting people collaborate using it or just keeping your science open. It has many functionalities within itself that include kind of verifying taxa with PBDB and NCBI, getting images of those taxa from iDigBio and Encyclopedia of Life, and also running in-house phylogenetic analysis through Cypress that we have partnered up with. And maybe once you do all of that, or even before, if you have a complete matrix, you're able to publish your data and share with everybody around the world who use MorphoBank and collaborate with your science and keep it open. And so my project at MorphoBank has been to transfer over 600 Nexus files from PBDB to MorphoBank. And these Nexus files are incomplete, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the next slide. But this is what the main goal of my project is, to complete this 600 Nexus file transfer successfully from the paleobiology database to MorphoBank to make them more accessible to everybody and to make the morphological data and the morphological matrices from these papers more accessible to people around the world. So when I say empty Nexus files, I am talking about there being no characters versus actually being characters. So in an empty Nexus file, right over here, we can see that there's a taxa box. There's a character box right here, but it is empty. There are no characters in this box. And then you see the actual matrix encoded in this file. While over here in the completed file, we see that the taxa begins, and then in the character block, we actually see character state labels that suggest that characters are encoded into this matrix. And then below there's always a matrix block that is very important to the Nexus file format. So essentially all the matrices that we got from the PBDB look like this right here. So they are empty, and our goal is to kind of add the data to them in order to be able to upload it to MorphoBank and make it accessible for everyone. And that gets to the bigger question of morphological data just being inaccessible in general, because sometimes matrices are incomplete and manual curation is just so slow. Sometimes it takes up to 2 to 4 hours to even type out 100 characters onto a matrix. And I say that from experience because I've done that. I've done that on so many files that are related to this PBDB transfer, where I've just sat down for 2 to 4 hours and just typed for 4 hours straight trying to get through this like 200 or 300 character matrix. And it's frustrating, and it's also prone to human error and inconsistent formatting, and there could be all kinds of problems with us sitting for hours typing these morphological data out. And it is often not fair, so the output is not findable, accessible, interoperable, or reusable, because we might miss some standards in our formatting. We might put a wrong comma in the Nexus file, and then it messes up the output on the other end. And so there's a lot of kind of factors that go into the inaccessibility of morphological data at this time. And we wanted to take on this problem, and not only just this problem, just the manual curation problem as well, and kind of solve both at once. And so what we thought about MorphoBank was an AI-powered assistant for researchers. We created Matrix Curator, which is this AI-powered Word assistant that automates the extraction of morphological character data directly from the publication, and it generates a standardized, fair, compliant Nexus file. And this incredibly reduces the time and effort required for researchers while improving the quality of the data that the researchers have, because they're not manually typing it in, so we don't have to worry about typos. We don't have to worry about them misspelling things, because all this AI is doing is generating the words, or not even generating, it's just extracting the words from the publication and putting it onto the Nexus file. So there's nothing lost in translation between those two. And so let me walk you through how this process works. This is just the interface that I show you here, where it accepts that PDF file of the publication, then it accepts the blank Nexus file that I showed you an example of before, and some other parameters go in here. But let me dive a little bit deeper into this automated pipeline where the user uploads a paper and a base Nexus file. So it has a functionality for PDF as well as docx, and the base Nexus file has to have the taxa and the matrix stuff that won't be readily available in the paper, but the character list usually is. So that's the thing that would be missing in that base Nexus file. Next, what it does is that when you start the run, it parses through the document into machine-readable text. So the publication that you provide, it's a scientific publication. It has 2 columns. AIs have a hard time reading the way that humans do, but we figured out a way to get our AI to read the scientific paper the way that you would read the scientific paper, and it kind of parses through that and translates it into machine-readable text there. Next, it extracts the information that we ask it to, which means the character list, and it validates its extraction skills and kind of verifies that it's extracting the correct thing. And then it generates an updated Nexus file with a character state labels block, which is something that I showed you before, a complete Nexus file. And again, out the other end, we get a complete, fair, compliant Nexus file ready for download, which means that researchers can focus on their science instead of constantly manually laboring to create a morphological matrix that takes like 10 hours to encode 300 characters. And I want to emphasize that we need to ensure accuracy, because that was the whole point of creating this. And so Matrix Curator uses a system of checks and balances. So it is a multi-agent system, so it uses a self-correcting loop. It kind of loops through its previous actions and kind of goes through what it has done in order to make sure that it has done the correct thing and it has extracted the correct thing. The retriever agent, that's the thing that extracts the data. So that's the particular agent that we deploy to extract the data, and then the evaluator agent evaluates accuracy. Now, these 2 models could be the same models, but these 2 models can also be different models, like maybe you're using Gemini Flash and Gemini Pro. So that's the kind of difference or similarity you can look for. So since it's multi-agent, you could use different, you could use the same. And if the score is too low, when the evaluator agent goes and checks what the extracting agent has done, then the process automatically retries and tries to correct its mistakes to ensure that the results out the other end are higher quality results. And so there are a couple of advantages to this tool. It's novel, of course, in the fields, but it's built with modern AI and data tools. So there's versatile parsing engines for all document types. So first, initially, it used to only be able to parse PDFs, but over time, we have developed it to start processing docx or txt files, and we'll keep optimizing it to be able to process multiple kinds of files. We use Google Gemini, which is intelligent and it has high accuracy validation. It isn't open source, but it's easy to get, and we are able to get it in a cost-effective manner. And lastly, we use Flash, which is Gemini's smaller model sometimes, to reduce costs when it comes to larger matrix processing, but we don't compensate for the accuracy with that because the accuracy is what is most important to us and what keeps the data fair. And the benefit that it has given us is beyond anything, our manual labor from hours is turned into minutes. So when you think about context caching, I would think about what the character list is actually about. And so it reduces the LLM token consumption by over 93%. And this is very important because Gemini Pro is not open access. That means that it costs Google Cloud Computing tokens, and you're able to save on it when you kind of context cache in the background, and it makes the analysis fast and affordable. And of course, it reduces our manual labor, and we can do it in under 10 minutes. So assume you have a matrix of 400 characters, it'll possibly take like 5 to 6 minutes to get that matrix together when originally you planned on spending 8 hours on typing out that character list. And this includes quality control. So this doesn't even include the proofreading time you would take to go over the matrix that you manually did. And I want to emphasize that we automate without sacrificing accuracy. We've done benchmark tests to show that there's a 90% average accuracy, which means that out the other end, it only requires minor edits by curators like me. So it definitely is seen by the human eyes, and it's not directly uploaded onto MorphoBank because it's still AI and it can make mistakes. And just from this, we kind of want to make sure that it's not making any mistakes. And so we take our human eyes, look over whatever it's encoded, and then upload it to MorphoBank. And so we have successfully processed over 300 matrices from the paleobiology database dataset, and we're happy to report that they're all published on MorphoBank at the moment, and we're working on doing the rest of the matrices. And we only have a couple of them left, but then we have successfully completed not only the paleobiology database project, but also have this great tool out the other end to be able to accommodate quicker morphological data curation. And we've curated over 35,000 character state entries, a task that would have taken hundreds of hours manually. We've just managed to do it in minutes. 35,000 characters is so many characters coming from different matrices. And to be able to condense all that time into just an AI doing it is awesome. And so what's next for Matrix Curator, I'd say, is that we continue to optimize and improve accuracy and efficiency. I know that we're at 90% accuracy, but we are currently training the model as well to be able to go higher and higher in that accuracy. And not only that, we're trying to find ways to make it more efficient. We were thinking about open access models, but they don't work as well and they don't have as many coupons. So we're exploring other options in order to make it more efficient. Then we are also trying to add support for other major LLMs and open source alternatives. So Google's open source alternative might not be the best option for us, but there are other open source alternatives out there. There are other major LLMs out there, and we want to try them out in order to see what kind of accuracy they give us when we benchmark them. And we want to integrate additional document parsers. Like I mentioned before, we take PDF, docx, txt, but not Excel files yet. So that is something on our list to do, is try to create an inclusive kind of document parser for Excel files also, and any other kinds of files that might be common in the field. And also we want to develop an API to conquer this programmatic accuracy. So we want to make sure that our API is structured well enough. So currently it is structured well enough, but we'd like to always keep optimizing it. So this is what the future of Matrix Curator holds. Thank you all for listening in today. I'd like to acknowledge Phoenix Bioinformatics, NSF, and the UC Berkeley Summer Internship Grant, and of course MorphoBank Connects, the conference, for giving me this opportunity to present. And I'm going to leave this QR code of the preprint of this paper that we have compiled about the methods of creating this AI model. And if you have any questions regarding this, please contact me at any of these emails and I'll be happy to chat with you.